What if I told you that World War II, the deadliest war in human history, wasn't just a battle of nations, but a cover for something far more sinister? A global conspiracy so dark, so well hidden that even after decades of research, only fragments have slipped through the cracks. And here's the part they never told you: some of the most powerful people on Earth may have helped the enemy, not out of fear or loyalty, but out of profit. This is the darkest conspiracy of World War II, and if you think you know the full story, think again. From secret pacts with American corporations to occult experiments buried in Nazi bunkers and covert operations erased from history books, this is the untold story of manipulation, betrayal, and a war that may not have ended the way we think it did. Stick around, because by the end of this video you'll question everything you were taught about World War II. Let's begin where most stories end, with the victors. It's a common belief that the Allies were united by a moral compass driven to stop fascism and protect democracy. But while soldiers bled on the battlefield, powerful men in boardrooms and backrooms were making secret deals that undermined the war effort. Start with IBM. Yes, the same company that helped revolutionize modern computing. During World War II, IBM supplied Nazi Germany with punch card machines and the technology needed to track millions of Jews. These systems were essential in organizing transport to concentration camps. All this happened through IBM's German subsidiary and with plausible deniability at the top. Did Thomas Watson, the then chairman of IBM, know what was happening? Evidence suggests he did. He even received a medal from Hitler himself in 1937, which he returned only after public pressure in America. And IBM wasn't alone. Ford and General Motors were producing tanks and vehicles for Nazi forces through their German branches. Standard Oil, the precursor to Exxon, supplied aviation fuel to the Luftwaffe. Even after the US entered the war, some of these companies found ways to continue profiting from both sides. For these corporations, war wasn't a tragedy. It was an opportunity. But let's go deeper. Let's go darker. What if the Nazi obsession with the occult wasn't just propaganda? What if real, classified research was being done in ancient rituals, psychic experiments, and attempts to harness otherworldly power? The Nazis had a department, the Annenorb, a pseudo-scientific arm dedicated to finding evidence of Aryan superiority through archaeology and ancient history. But documents recovered by the Allies revealed that their work extended beyond the physical. They searched for the Holy Grail. They explored Tibetan monasteries for ancient wisdom. They performed gruesome human experiments to unlock supposed powers of the mind. Some say they were attempting to create superhumans. Others believe they were trying to open portals to other dimensions. Sound too crazy? Consider this: the US government didn't dismiss these findings. Instead, they copied them. Enter Operation Paperclip, a top-secret US program that brought over 1,600 Nazi scientists to America after the war. Men like Wernher von Braun, who had been a key figure in the development of the V-2 rocket for Hitler, was put in charge of America's space program. Why? Because knowledge was more valuable than justice. Many of these scientists had been involved in human experimentation, war crimes, and weapons development. Yet they were given new identities and protection in exchange for their expertise. But here's the twist: some of these scientists continued their research. In secret, under the radar, with funding. That brings us to the CIA and MKUltra. MKUltra was a covert CIA project aimed at mind control, begun just a few years after the war. It involved drugging unwitting civilians with LSD, using psychological torture, and developing methods to manipulate the human brain. The roots of this program? You guessed it, the same Nazi experiments conducted in concentration camps. The line between American intelligence and Nazi horror began to blur. While the public celebrated the fall of fascism behind closed doors, its ideology, or at least its methods, were being repurposed by the victors. This wasn't just about defeating an enemy, it was about absorbing their secrets. And secrets ran deep. Take the Vatican. During and after the war, the Catholic Church played a mysterious role in aiding Nazi escapees through what is now known as the Ratlins. High-ranking Nazi officers, war criminals, and SS agents fled Europe using fake documents, often with the help of church officials. Many ended up in South America, particularly Argentina, Brazil, and Chile. Why would the church assist known criminals? Some say it was ideological sympathy. Others believe it was a Cold War strategy, better to ally with fascists than let them fall into Soviet hands. But it wasn't just the Vatican. The Red Cross, which was supposed to be a neutral humanitarian organization, was caught issuing fake passports. Governments like the United States and Britain were aware, and they turned a blind eye. Why? Because World War II had already transitioned into the Cold War and former Nazis were suddenly useful assets in the fight against communism. Let's shift to South America. Ever wonder why so many Nazi officers fled there? It wasn't just to hide. There were rumors even today that secret bases were built in the Andes and deep in the jungles of Brazil. One particularly bizarre theory? That Hitler didn't die in Berlin but escaped to Argentina, where he lived out the rest of his days in a remote compound. While mainstream historians reject this, declassified FBI files show that the U.S. investigated Hitler sightings in South America well into the 1950s. And then there's Antarctica. Operation High Jump in 1946 was a massive U.S. military expedition to the icy continent. Officially, it was for training. But the size of the operation, 4,700 men, 13 ships, and multiple aircraft, raised eyebrows. Some conspiracy theorists believe it was a mission to investigate a secret Nazi base. Others claim the Nazis had discovered something ancient beneath the ice, something not human. Of course, no solid proof has emerged. But the secrecy around the mission continues to fuel speculation. In recent years, previously redacted communications have emerged from private archives revealing coordinated efforts among multinational banking families to sustain the Axis war machine even as public opinion turned. These letters reference coded financial transactions, offshore holdings, and secret gold shipments moved under the radar of Allied intelligence. If these documents are genuine, they suggest the war was being manipulated like a stock market, engineered and prolonged to serve the interests of an elite few. So what do we have? Major U.S. companies aiding the Nazi war machine for profit. Nazi scientists absorbed by the Allies to continue forbidden research. The church and international organizations helping war criminals escape. Rumors of secret bases, alien technology, and global manipulation. Does this sound like a movie? Maybe. But every claim here is rooted in a document, a testimony, or a historical anomaly. Here's the part they don't want you to know. World War II wasn't just a clash of armies. It was a global chess game played by elites who saw beyond ideology. The war may have ended in 1945, but the games continued. In many ways, they still do. And now the most chilling thought of all, if these conspiracies operated in plain sight during history's most documented war, what could be happening now behind the curtain? Because sometimes the victors don't write history. They rewrite it. And if you thought this conspiracy was dark, wait until you see how one brilliant mind helped create a weapon that haunted him forever. Watch J. Robert Oppenheimer, a genius haunted by his own invention next.